I know what I want to talk about, but how do I start? This is a question I hear TED Ed Club members ask all the time. To me, the beginning is the most important part of your talk because it's how you get people to listen to you. It's crucial to start with high energy and something interesting that'll make people curious. Let's take a step back. TED lives by the slogan, "Ideas worth spreading." Well, what makes an idea worth spreading? By this point, you have some idea, because your talk is about something you truly want to spread, and you're an expert on your idea. It's something so important to you, something that excites you so much you need to share it. Your idea is part of you. It's personal. So why not start on that note? Start with a personal anecdote, a story about yourself. Narrate an experience relevant to your talk. The audience will be interested because, hey, who doesn't like stories? Telling a story is a strategy to segue into the bigger idea you wish to spread and provides the audience with a little bit of context. Let's take a look. About a month ago, I was at an academic competition where I got into a bit of a debate with the dean of undergrad admissions at an Ivy League university. For the sake of privacy, I will omit the university's name. It started off as a very casual conversation. She was interested in what classes I was taking this year, my extracurriculars, and of course my plans for the future. Very normal conversation for a junior in high school. Then the conversation began to change when she asked me which science course I was taking next year. She was surprised to find that I'm not taking a science course next year, but instead I'm doubling up on a language class. The look on her face was a mixture of shock and a little bit of pity. And this kind of hurt me, because language has always been something I've been passionate about. Since I was a little kid, I've been fascinated by the noises that I can make with my mouth and your ability to understand them. My ability to draw signs with my hand and to be able to read them. And then this fascination grew into an obsession with grammar in middle school. I love grammar. I love knowing rules that no one else exists. I like knowing how to construct a sentence. I love looking for mistakes in pieces of writing. And then in high school, I fell in love with syntax, with word placement and word choice, how to make an argument. And then I realized that I'm not just limited to doing this in English, and that I can do this in other languages as well. That's where I began my journey with Spanish. And I have deeply immersed myself in the Spanish language and culture. And because of my involvement in the Spanish language, I have had the best experience of my life in an exchange program in Collado Villalba, Spain. And without Spain, and without Spanish, and without my passion for language, I would not have had that. And then after studying Spanish in school, I go home and teach myself Arabic, because my best friend's family is from Lebanon. And while they're all fluent in English, I want to communicate with them in a more intimate way, because that's what communication is. Communication is intimacy, and communication is my passion. And for her to make this face at my passion was jarring to me. I questioned her about it, and her response was that they only accept prestigious students. Why are my passions not prestigious? That was me, just beginning my TED Ed talk. I thought about opening with a story that was a powerful way to start. It provided some ethos or credibility to what I was going to say. It was a way to introduce myself to the audience, to connect with the people with whom I wanted to share my idea. And it keeps the audience interested. Hey, I even started this video with a tiny 2-sentence story, and look, you're still watching. I promise you this method works. My talk was about education, so I started by telling a story about a meeting I had with an admissions officer. Perhaps your talk's about education too. Why not start with a classroom story? Or maybe if you're talking about robotics, you introduce the audience to the first ever experience you had with a robot.
The best place to start is by telling us where your idea started. If it's something this important to you, I bet you remember exactly where you were and what you were doing. Now just dig a little deeper. How did you discover how that made you feel? And how can you make the audience feel that same way? The key thing is to make sure your story connects fluidly with what you hope to talk about. There are plenty of other ways to introduce your talk as well. For example, Sir Ken Robinson generally opens all of his talks with a joke. By working humor into his talk, he's able to humanize himself and his ideas and easily connect with his audience, and he's keeping them alert. I would caution the funny route, however, because a TED Talk is a platform to share your idea and not a stand-up comedy stage. It's also critical to remember your target audience for your talk. But if you possess natural humor like Sir Ken Robinson and you know how to appropriately integrate it into your talk, perhaps humor is the method for you. Let's review quickly what we've just learned. Here are some basic do's and don'ts of starting your talk. Do make sure that you have an introduction. It's critical to your story arc and to getting the attention of your audience. That being said, don't jump right into the core of your presentation. It's very easy for an audience to feel overwhelmed if you start hitting them with information before introducing them to the topic. Do be very confident, poised, and relaxed. That positive energy will transfer over to the audience. And don't worry. In the end, this is your talk about your idea, and I'm sure it'll be amazing. Now that we figured out how to get people to listen to your talk, we need to figure out how to make them stay. And we'll cover that in the next video, structuring the middle of your talk.